Welcome back to Next Normal, building on customer experience, and with a very promising and optimistic title, which is creating the ultimate user experience through an omni-channel engagement platform. Very promising, I believe, right? So let me introduce the three gentlemen which we have today. So first of all, we have Peter Ravn. Hi, Peter. How are you?
Hi, Dario. Very well, thank you.
Fantastic. Dirk Abeel from Pitcher. Dirk, same question to you, the hardest one.
Always very well, as you know, and especially happy when I can have discussions with my colleagues here.
Fantastic. And Manuel Ganzoni. Manuel, how are you doing?
All good, thank you.
Fantastic. So let's deep dive into the conversation and start with the first question which you prepared today, which is how would you define the ultimate user experience in pharma and why does it matter? I mean, we speak a lot about customer experience in the last couple of months, but actually, why does it matter? Let's start with you, Manuel, if you have nothing against it.
Sure, happy to start. So I think if we speak about the ultimate user experience in pharma, one of the key things that we are today missing is really the interplay between commercial and medical. Because when we think at about the perspective of an HCP, he's always confronted with the two of them. And as of today, in what I see in a lot of companies, medical is not yet fully embedded in the omni-channel strategy, and this interplay is not yet here. So I think despite their strategic relevance, we would need to focus on this one so that there is really a smooth experience for the HCP.
Thanks a lot. Peter?
I very much agree with Manuel's comment about, you can say, needing to integrate medical and marketing, because I also fully trust that much of the value that we bring to our customers is through the medical community. But in addition to that, I will also say, for me, I think we also need to deliver on some of the very basic ones of user experience. We shouldn't forget that, which is, for me, something about convenience, for example. It has to be easy to get access. It has to be easy to be validated, to register to events and so on. It has to be relevant. So we need to be better at, you say, personalizing, individualizing according to the needs of the individual physicians. And then lastly, one of the areas which I think are also critically important, but also quite difficult, is that it has to be engaging if we talk about, you say, digital engagement. One thing is to be engaging when a rep is in front of a physician. Another one is to be engaging in an email or a website. We really need to be much better at, you say, be engaging, making it, you say, beneficial for the physician to click.
Thanks a lot, Peter. And Dirk, I left you with a reason for the last response, because I mean, you worked for many years in pharma. Now you're on a vendor side, right? So I think you have this great helicopter view when it comes to customer experience and why it makes sense.
You're raising the bar again. I think first of all, Peter and Manuel have given great insights. In other words, I would say it's the capability and the capacity to create continuous aha moments, to say as a customer, wow, I find in a seamless, almost intuitive manner what I'm looking for, what I really need to deal with my patients at any time, and also to my preferred kind of channels. So that's easy to say. That also means, of course, that you need, as a customer and as a company, a pharma company, and even as a vendor, you need to understand, you need to have a deep understanding of your customer journey, and even where I would like to go even further, linking that with patient journeys, because then you can create this aha moment for the customer and helping them doing the same with patients. So that's for me in a nutshell how I would like to summarize this.
Yeah, fantastic. We hear some background noise, so if you are not speaking, I would recommend to mute yourself. But let's proceed to the next question, which is why current omni-channel processes in pharma still don't deliver proper customer experience? That's the tough question. And is it because we are too much focused on tech instead of people and processes? So maybe we can start this time with you, Dirk.
Well, for me, I think first of all, we always like to talk about customer centricity, patient centricity. I think that still we are too often product centric. So too much internal focus. And I said it already before, you can only be really customer-centric if you understand your customers, if you know what you want to achieve, how you want to achieve it, what is the role of your commercial organization, being it medical, being it sales, being it marketing. And a second reason is, and you already alluded to it, and some of the other speakers have mentioned it too, we jump way too quickly into technology. Even though I'm not working for the technology company, I say stay away from technology unless you really understand what is it that this company wants to achieve, how they want to achieve it, how they want to stand out, what is it they want to drive, desired outcomes, and in which conditions should we deliver that. And once you have an understanding for that, and the organization understands all the implications this is having internally and externally, then I believe that it is the right moment to plug in the right technology. And technology, we can have endless discussions, what is the right technology, but I don't think that is here the topic. So.
Exactly. Thanks a lot, Dirk. Peter?
Yes, thank you. There's definitely something about us being quite inwards focused. Pharma, as we all know, have traditionally been a very product-focused business. And to be truly omni-channel, we need to be customer-focused, as we also know. And that is a big change. And I think pharma also being an old traditional industry who have been, living well from working traditionally in our customer engagement for many years, and then done much of our innovation around our drugs and the way we bring drugs forward in the research phases. I think that is part of the reason. And I don't think that we will ever really get there to be fully customer focused, because I think as an industry, we will have this strong product heritage, and that's really where much of our thinking starts from. Secondly, being this fairly old business also means that we're not able to start from scratch. I think we have some really good customer focused activities, especially from our reps channels. And I think some of us who now are focused more on the digital, then need to find out how do we mix this better? How do we make the better integration between our face-to-face channels and our digital channels? Knowing that face-to-face is and will be where we really can add value, but we just need to be better at adding that value where it matters most, and then support the whole engagement process with all our digital activities, and making that fit together is a big step forward for us. So I don't think we should be. We probably should be a bit ashamed because we can do much better. But at the same time, I also see, in fact, a lot of advancement in that area in pharma at the moment.
Certainly, fully agree, Peter. Dirk, you would like to add something? Or?
No, I'll let first Manuel go, and then I would like to add something. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, I would like to build on what just Peter said. Also agree with what Dirk said, but I think the pharmaceutical industry is just kind of a bit behind versus other industries. We started a few years ago to focus on omni-channel customer experience, and therefore, when we compare with other industries, they have a huge kind of first mover advantage, and we are in the middle of a very steep learning curve, and maybe other industries have been like, I don't know, 10 years ago at the place where we are now, so building up these basic capabilities, knowledge, experience, and so on. So I think time will help us to catch up, but of course we are a heavy regulated industry, which makes it maybe a bit more difficult than when we speak about Netflix or someone else. But for me, the key thing is that we just started a bit late, and now we are in this steep learning curve to catch up.
Yeah, what I would like to add is, and it's based on my experience when I was at the other side, is the importance really, and just building on what Peter also referred to, this internal focus and being scared of pushing the boundaries, is really involving customers when we are working on this whole digitalization of our commercial processes. It's involving them. And I think also the verbatim we should change. I'll give an example. Today I've heard how many times NBA, next best action. I think it is about creating a next best experience for the customer and for the patient. So next best action is again for me too much internally focused to say, okay, as a rep, medical science liaison, key account manager, this is what you could do or are supposed to do or whatever. But at the end, all of us, and we are no different, we want to create an experience to which people connect. And once we find that sweet spot within the limitations of compliance and regulatory and etc., I think we would already make a big step forward.
Certainly. Next question: if you want to start to work on that particular ultimate user experience development, where would you start? So what would be the advice to the audience? Peter, let's start this time with you. The easiest question, right?
It is a really relevant question, and I think we're all say struggling with where to start. At the same time, it's not possible just to start with say solving one of the challenges that we have. There's a lot of elements of making this transformation, so one thing which I think is burning for us is to get our data organized, our customer data, our activity data organized in an omni-channel, transformation supporting setting, rather than having data around what has traditionally been our main channel, the rep, our key account management activities. Another thing is content. Getting content relevant and engaging in all channels, again, not just for the rep channels, but also for the emails, for the websites, for how our reps use the IVA. And with these two things, content and data, I would in fact say one thing I think it really makes sense to start working on, if I were to pick one, might be how to make our activities engaging, especially the digital activities, how to provide it in a way and with a value add so that the physicians would click. Because when they click, that's when we get the data, that's when we get the learnings, that's when we start knowing how to improve our content. So I think the engagement part is really difficult on it. It sounds easy to make a call to action in an email or put something attractive on our website. But I think our experience is that it isn't so easy. So that's something I would in fact put more focus on than we maybe have done previously.
That's right, Peter. Dirk?
Yeah, you said an easy question, but the easy questions are always the most difficult to answer because you can go in so many directions. I think because we spoke about internal focus and external focus. Obviously, everything starts for me with what is the strategy? What is it what we want to achieve? What is it what we want to offer as value to our healthcare professionals? That's for me the first part. Where we should do a lot more, and I'm talking when I was still in the industry, focus a lot more on is in getting the right insights. We said it already again, getting to know our customers, getting to know what they want to achieve, what they are struggling with. We do this, but do we do it enough? I don't think so, because it's expensive and etc. 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 So that's for me the first piece of the puzzle we should sort out. The second piece for me is making very clear when we go from a goal setting and a strategy, how are we going to do that? What is it we want to drive? If you want to drive change in behavior, for example, advocacy. We all are dreaming about that HCPs are advocating for what we are bringing to the marketplace. What do we need to get there from a kind of, and Peter said it, from a content perspective, but also from a service perspective? What do we need to underpin this execution from the strategy? And what do we need from a capability perspective from our people, technology, and then we can really start acting on the data. And earlier in the discussion, we spoke about insights. And for me, it's not about insights, it's about actionable insights for all the key stakeholders. If I get data or I get a dashboard, it should tell me something meaningful. And I say, wow, okay, either it's confirming something, either this I didn't know, but I need to investigate further to better understand. Peter mentioned the example of the email. If an HCP told me, hey, Dirk, only send me emails because that's the only channel that I'm using, and after 2 times he's not opening the email anymore, yeah, then I should go act on what I've seen to say, hey, Dr. Peter, can you tell me something? You told me how important it is to send you all the messages through email, but I see you do not react on it. What is happening? So making it part of the commercial process, because otherwise we stay in a multi-channel environment. We do one thing next to the other, but we do not connect the dots, and that's destroying value. So a lot of things that you need to look at to make sure that your omni-channel strategy is hitting the road, and it's an ongoing iterative process, obviously.
Certainly. Thanks, Dirk. Manuel?
Yeah, so I think first I would really start by analyzing and understanding the market needs. What is this particular market's need? And then second, also understanding the internal capabilities. What do we have in place, what not, around CX, omnichannel? And also then really identifying the gaps so that with all this knowledge, we are then able to build this CX strategy, which will be very important. And I think this strategy, it's critical that it is aligned to the overall corporate strategy. And then once we have this, go into execution mode and spend a lot of time with user testing. So really to evolve and enhance over time. So I would have those 3 steps.
Okay, fantastic. Let's speak about the technology side. I mean, if you look the whole customer journey, and when it comes to technology, I would say, and Dirk already mentioned this, that in many cases our touch points are not synchronized, and if you take the conversation further, they are even not synchronized between the departments, right? So how actually to make this synchronized version of a modern pharma company, where at first place departments are having the same voice, medically speaking, the same language, like for instance commercial, top management, marketing, and so on, plus that they have an overall vision of customer experience. Plus, just to add something in addition, what I think sometimes is really leading us to a failure is that we try to target absolutely every single customer, which is impossible. It's very similar to the fact and story. Not everyone is liking Apple, not everyone is liking Rolling Stones, right? But that's not the issue. But we as industry, we continuously think, yeah, we have to reach every single HCP, everyone is very critical, and so on and so forth. Thoughts? Who would like to go first? Dirk?
Okay, then I will go. For me, of course, the whole technology piece of the puzzle, and I think it has been said already. It's a sales enabler. And I would like to link it again, first of all, to the purpose. We should, as a pharma company, ask ourselves, why would an HCP be willing to engage with us, being it with medical, being it with the commercial team, etc. Because there are different reasons. Could be, okay, I want to stay up to date regarding all the therapies. I want to have access on the relevant content whenever I want. I want to keep up to speed through continued education. And depending on all these purposes, already the technology we have to put in place will be different. What I also want to say is, what is often a hurdle is in the pharma industry, we have this, what I call technology heritage. We have all these bulky systems.
Legacy, yeah.
Yeah, we have all these huge, solid systems which are going a bit against what we want to do. We live in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, which really requires from an organization like the pharma industry, despite being very restricted and having to abide to all the compliance rules, to move fast. So I think that in the future, from a platform perspective, we will move away from these big monoliths and go to platform where, based on open APIs, you can plug in, unplug what is relevant for your business and what has changed without being disruptive. So what I like to call, and what we like to call, the best of breed approach, which is really allowing you, so it's moving more in a kind of application world, which is giving us a lot more freedom. And we know there are a lot of things happening in the industry personally, and I've seen that when I was both in Nestle and Reckitt. Often it became a hurdle and a burden. Really, once you got with these big mastodon systems, you were almost tied up with your hands and feet. So also there, I think a lot could, and should happen.
Very interesting. Thanks a lot, Dirk. Manuel, Peter?
Yeah, so I think systems will improve over time and help a lot. And in the end, I also think to add to what Dirk said, that it will be very critical or is very critical that we have like multi-skilled teams that meet from time to time, face to face or virtual, like we do, and just discuss those key accounts, account by account, to align. Because yeah, as I observe at the moment, not everything is properly within the system. So sometimes it's just very important when we speak about this really important HCPs sit together, having medical, commercial, market access, and all those functions, just discuss and a simple plan, and then put it into the system, and then ensure that the execution happens through the right team, and then meet again and analyze.
Thank you. Peter?
It is a big question, this one, for me also. I think that in our industry, there's a lot of change management because, again, as we've discussed several times during this relatively brief call, that we are a traditional industry, we are a regulated industry. We have very well-established core functions. At the same time that we, in our functions, needs to, first of all, understand the role of digital, which is not always, very different from what we used to do. It may be just a different way of doing it. And then it shouldn't hopefully be a threat for anyone. It should rather be an enabler for engaging better. So I think that whole transformation, change management journey is something which will take time. I think one of the bigger steps forward that we have come to in Leo, and I think also other companies, is that we have much more management, senior management focus also on making this transformation happen now. So it's not so much show me the ROI of digital at the moment. It's still relevant, but it's as much how do we make it work in the right way? And with that, I think from a platforms to technology perspective, we also have really many of the building blocks in place in for example, Leo, and what can help us is when we start to identify the right processes to make sure that when we work with a customer that we do have this cross-functional approach, medical marketing, sales as well, maybe other functions, maybe also access, and also that we support it by collecting data in the right way, meaning that we need to tag our content and our activities in a way so that we get the insights, so that we get insights that can help us give feedback that again shows our colleagues what's the outcome, why does it make sense, how can we improve going forward, and I think the processes and underlying key steps, like for example a tagging structure across our medical marketing sales activities between the different channels, between the different brands, is just one critical element which we also need to get in place. So and there's several of those. So but we need to say it's a huge elephant. We need to eat it bite by bite.
Thanks a lot. So we will come for a barbecue, certainly.
Exactly. I thought that was next.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting comment coming in from Georgis, which is for, I will just write one or two sentences, which is for pharma, it is more difficult to innovate as we have to think inside a strict regulated box and innovate inside it. I think maybe we can also speak about medical affairs, because what we are now doing in medical affairs is even more regulated than commercial, right? Because you need all those medical sign-offs and you articulate the science. Now we are somehow copying the very same approach like we have it in commercial, right? So we are putting omni-channel, we are putting all those different things which we currently have in commercial. So my question is why we wouldn't have a different approach and really innovate medical affairs from a different standpoint than we did it in commercial.
I think that we are risk adverse, we know that. And that's really instilled in our brains. So I think we are way too strict than we could and should be. I give an example. And Peter, I build on what you said with all the data at the end of the day. The first thing that for me should and could happen in breaking that rule is breaking down this also compliance wall, which often is used, I'm sorry that I say it, as an excuse. And first of all, is breaking down the internal data silos. Medically sitting on a pile of data, commercial, training and development, name it. Then you have all the sales data. Often they are even not connected. That's one aspect. That's all a first big challenge. The second one for me, and that could be critical in changing the whole experience for the society, is why do we not start sharing data across the boundaries within the industry, together with regulators, to show that bringing this all together could bring a tremendous value back to society. And that could change the whole paradigm, because now we are often reacting reactively. Yeah, reacting is reactive, obviously. So, but it's about the mindset, and I think as an industry, and the industry associations could play a big role in that, in starting to work more in a partnership with policymakers, because at the end of the day, if you like it or not, if you like pharma or not, it is a critical factor in how we build a society where people can live longer and healthier and happier.
Peter, Manuel, anything to add?
So from my perspective, I think, it would be already great if we could start with like very simple things, that, for instance, the medical NBA tool could talk to the commercial NBA tool. Is it only around certain topics or certain channels? And just, making first steps in this connection, then getting more comfortable with it, and then we could take the next step. But this would be, for me, something very critical and important, that those two tools could talk with each other, for instance.
And just to also add to this comment about sharing data, sharing best practices in the company between the different functions, but also between, say, companies. That's also something I think we are much in favor of. We can only get wiser, all of us, and we are all on this transformation journey, and there's no reason to make the same mistakes. Let's build on each other's learnings, and let's see if we could get closer to what you also called the sharing of data, Dirk, between, to help us all progress. It really is in the favor of the customers, and I think the faster we can get there, the better.
With that thoughts, I would like to thank you, gentlemen. Peter, Dirk, Manuel, was a great conversation. We will again publish it on our official YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and looking to the next one.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Nice being here. Bye-bye.